Have you ever really stopped to think about it? You type a few words into a search bar and bam, in less than a second, you get information from the farthest corners of the internet. It honestly feels like magic, doesn't it? Well, behind that magic, there's this tireless, invisible workforce, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on its most important member, the web crawler.
So, yeah, how do they do it? How in the world does a search engine sift through billions upon billions of pages to find exactly what you're looking for almost instantly? The secret, it turns out, lies with a special kind of bot, a digital explorer that, get this, never sleeps.
All right, so let's start with the basics. First things first, what exactly is this digital explorer?
Okay, so at its core, a web crawler is basically an internet bot, a piece of software. Its entire job is just to systematically travel across the web, gathering information. You probably heard it called other things, right? Like a spider or a spider bot. But whatever name you use, the mission is always the same.
I absolutely love this analogy. Just think of it as an automated librarian, but for, the biggest library in all of human history. And it's not just wandering around randomly. No, it's meticulously moving from link to link, page to page, creating this gigantic, organized index of everything it finds, also we can find it later. Okay, so we've got the what down, but how does this thing actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look inside.
This diagram here, it really simplifies a hugely complex operation. But you can see the main idea, this continuous cycle. See how the arrows are flowing between three key parts? The scheduler, the downloader, and storage. Let's break down what each one actually does.
So first up, we have the brain of the whole operation, the scheduler.
The scheduler is pretty much the mission planner. It keeps this running list, it's called a queue, of all the URLs it wants to visit. Now, when you're faced with the entire internet, its most critical job is to prioritize. It has to decide, okay, which pages are more important to visit next, maybe because they get updated a lot, or maybe a ton of other important sites linked to them.
So, once the scheduler has given out its orders, the next piece of the puzzle kicks into gear, the downloader. If the scheduler is the brain, the downloader is the tireless workhorse of the team. It takes that list of URLs from the scheduler and does the real heavy lifting. It's the part that reaches out across the internet to actually fetch, or download, the raw content of all those web pages.
And finally, once all that data is downloaded, it has to go somewhere, right? Well, that brings us to the final piece of the operation, storage.
All those downloaded pages get passed on to the storage system. This is where the content is processed and indexed. And here's where the cycle just brilliantly completes itself. Important data from the page, we call this metadata. Things like any new links it found gets fed right back to the scheduler. This gives it a whole new set of places to explore, and boom, the process starts all over again. So we've got this really powerful, cyclical system for gathering data. But why? Why go to all this trouble? Let's talk about the crawler's many jobs to see what it's all for.
Now, the most obvious job, the one we all think of, is creating that massive index for search engines. But that's not all they do, not by a long shot. Crawlers are also used to archive parts of the web for historical preservation, kind of like a digital time capsule. They're used to analyze websites to gather statistics, mirror entire sites for backups, and even perform maintenance, like checking for broken links all across the web.
This quote really just nails it. Web crawlers copy pages for processing by a search engine, which indexes the downloaded pages so that users can search more efficiently. At the end of the day, all this crawling and processing, it serves one main goal, making sure that when you have a question, you can get a relevant answer and get it fast.
And really, that's the whole takeaway here. These invisible architects are working around the clock 24/7, trying to keep up with an internet that's just growing exponentially. They are constantly drawing and redrawing the map of our digital universe, all so that we can find our way. It's a truly never-ending job, and it's what makes the modern internet even possible.